won't be home until 10.
Are you sure? We are alone, aren't we?
Michael's around someplace. Take off that thing.
Let's go upstairs.
Okay. Your hands are cold.
Look, Judy, it's really late. I gotta go.
Will you call me tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Promise?
Yeah. Michael?
What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television, and today we're going to be getting into a little project for the month of October, and probably in future years of October. Going to be doing some horror review, like movies, during this month of October in 2023. And probably going to try to continue that trend in the coming years. And before I get into all that and kind of explain what movie I'm getting into and the review of that today, I want to thank all of the returning viewers, new viewers, future viewers. I hope that we can earn your subscription today, educate you, entertain you, make you feel any emotion about the content we're putting out. Now, I'm not going to necessarily put these movies into our Retro Blast playlist or anything like that. I'm going to kind of just start making a new playlist, starting with this one here, and we're going to get into the first one. And now I'm not going to say I'm going to do a review of a horror movie every day of October, but I'm going to try to put out as much horror content as I can this month, along with some of the other content that I do with comic reviews and so forth. But today, I'm going to start with a suggestion that because I asked the question on our community tab, any ideas for horror movie reviews, and actually this one was suggested by me, so thank you to Christine for suggesting this. And it's actually my favorite horror franchise and favorite horror guy, Halloween, aka Michael Myers. You know, the stalker, the unrelenting stalker. Right? He's kind of in the same boat as Jason Voorhees, where he can take a ton of damage and still come after you. But let's get into a little bit of the pedigree before I get into the general gist of the movie and stuff. Again, Halloween is the name of this movie. Came out October 25th, 1978. I was almost 2. Directed by, of course, the legendary John Carpenter. Writers are also John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. And, of course, we have the late great Donald Pleasance as Sam Loomis, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie, P.G. Souls as Linda, Sandy Johnson as Judith Myers, the initial sister that is showcased, spotlighted in the opening sequence. Charles Cyphers as Lee Brackett, the sheriff of Haddonfield, and some other actors and stuff like that. But I feel like these characters were definitely the main focus. And, of course, young Tommy, who Laurie was babysitting that day. But the movie starts off in Halloween in 1963, where we see Michael Myers. It opens up from his perspective because, well, not because, that's just how they decided to do it. It opens up with his perspective, and he's looking through a mask, and he walks in on his sister Judith, who's getting ready for some Halloween shenanigans as she's babysitting little Michael Myers. And he decides to offer. And we find out later on that there was a baby also there at the house that ended up being Laurie. Depending, I guess, of what continuity and everything, but we're not getting to all that. The initial thing that they wanted you to feel was that baby inside the Myers house was Laurie all grown up, just with a different name. And then Michael Myers, at the age of 6, whatever, after killing his sister Judith, was sent away to a mental institution in which he was overseen by Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis, at one point in this movie, had said that dealing with Michael Myers, even as young as he was like dealing with a demon or a devil, that there was nothing behind his dark, cold eyes. Dr. Loomis, I will say, as much as I love the character and I love the actor, he's a great actor, no doubt about it. Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Souls. They had a great career after that. Jamie Lee Curtis is definitely still going. Well, she was still going even as recently as last year when they finished up the Halloween, her version of the Halloween movies, right? Because there's so many reboots and everything. But she even starred as Laurie even as recently as last year in 2022. But we pick up in 1978 now, Halloween, so 15 years later, and Michael Myers decides to escape the mental institution he's in and and starts a killing spree, trying to lead his way to Laurie to finish the job, so to speak. Now, why he didn't when she was a baby is another story, but maybe the anger and resentment that Michael felt about being locked up transferred his hate to her because she got to live a life that he didn't get to live. There was really no explanation on why he killed his sister Judith or anything like that, and so that's why Loomis had felt like he was a soulless, careless psychopath, so to speak, the devil in a way. And so Laurie and her friends, Annie, and Linda are all conversing throughout the day in class and on the phone later on. Like I said, Laurie's going to be babysitting Tommy Doyle later that night. Annie's going to be babysitting a girl that lives across the street. Lindsay and Linda and her boyfriend Bob are going to be going to meet them to try to go to like a Halloween party or something, or just hang out. And this is when things start picking up, because when Loomis finds out that Michael escaped, he knows where he's going. We see Michael. We don't know how Michael learned how to drive a car, by the way. I kid though. Loomis makes his way to Judith's gravesite, and where they initially had lived, and we find out that Michael is just ready. He's just ready to straight to killing. An interesting fact about the mask that he wears throughout the movie is that it's based off of William Shatner's face, but obviously distressed to make it not look exactly like him. And only one time throughout the whole movie do we get to see Michael Myers' face, and that's near the end. It takes a while for Lee Brackett, the sheriff, to believe Loomis and his story about Michael Myers coming back to take revenge on a baby sister he had, and this small town of Haddonfield in Illinois. When Michael did what he did, that was like such to them such a tragedy, but an anomaly. Because their little town wasn't like that. They didn't have people like that. It was your typical all-American town, kids playing in the streets, moms and dads, doing what they need to do for their homes and stuff like that. It was like an all-American town. And here you have a crazy man coming and getting ready to add a bitter history to their legacy, so to speak. And throughout the movie, Laurie notices or feels like she's being followed. At one point, she thinks she sees Michael Myers across the street when she's at school, but then he disappears. And Michael Myers is very durable. He has superhuman strength. He was able to take bullets, stabbings. He fell from a second story window later at the end of the movie, and then had disappeared. But obviously, on his quest to find Lori, he comes across Annie and Lori and their boyfriends, and it comes ultimately to Lori protecting Tommy and little Lindsay from this big boogeyman, right? And even she mentions about how the boogeyman's not real. But near the end of the movie, she definitely believes that the boogeyman is real. She's unsure initially why he's going after her, and not that it would make it any better, but it drastically altered how she views life after that, and it had affected her relationship with her family, her friends, and ultimately always, on emotional razor's edge, so to speak. And I just really found that this movie was a fantastic example of how pacing and certain angles and stuff like that can be used to make a standard slasher movie feel fresh and new, even after all these decades later. I still find it to be an amazing piece of film. John Carpenter is a legend. He has his hands all up in the horror genre for decades, and this was his big start, his big spotlight, and boy, did he run with it. You know what I mean? We follow Michael through the years, obviously, after this movie, through multiple sequels, reboot, continuity, retcons, and everything. And like I said, it's up to you to determine if you like the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, if you like the John Carpenter movies, if you like the newer movies, right? It doesn't happen unless this movie is a success. And Jamie Lee Curtis cemented her stay in Hollywood with this, becoming one of the best last girls to be in a horror movie, to become the queen of the scream queens, in my opinion. I mean, I love Freddy Krueger. I love Jason Voorhees. That little burlap sack kid from Trick or Treat, right? Turkey from Thanksgiving. I love all these horror icons, but for me, I always found the unrelenting mode of Michael Myers to be frightening. Nothing is stopping him. This is not a dream, where you can wake up from and stop Freddy Krueger. This is real life. And he's not stopping. He's going to kill everybody and everything in the way until he gets to you. And it's even more scary because that could be something that can happen to you in real life. You know what I mean? Having a stalker be so unrelenting that it ruins your whole life and makes you wish that he had taken you out from the beginning. And that's why I love Halloween, the movie. As a franchise, I love Michael Myers as the main antagonist. And I think Laurie is a prime example of how a woman can go from being meek and mealy-mouthed to strong, a strong, independent woman who don't need no mans, right? She's a prime example of how you can become a strong woman when you didn't think that you were. those are my thoughts of Halloween. There's so much depth to this movie that if you have not gotten to watch this movie for whatever reason and you love horror movies, let this be the year that you watch this classic known as Halloween. But until next time, peace, Snookums.